The next sutta is 6.4.34. Once, when the Exalted One dwelt near Savatthi at Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's park, this thought came to the Venerable Mahamoggallana, gone apart for solitude. To how many devas is there this knowledge? We have won to the stream, are no more for the abyss. In sureness we make for the awakening beyond. I'll just stop here to comment a bit. The Mahamoggallana, when he was dwelling in solitude, in seclusion, he thought whether there are many devas who have entered the stream, that means have become an Arya, that means are no more for the abyss, that means they will never be reborn into the woeful planes of the hell realm, the animal realm and the ghost realm. In sureness, to make for the awakening beyond. That means once a person has become an Arya, then he will definitely become fully enlightened in a few more lifespans. Then the sutta continues. Now at that time, a monk named Tissa had just died and was reborn in one of the Brahma worlds. And they knew him even there as Tissa the mighty, Tissa the powerful. Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana, as a strong man, might stretch out his bent arm, might bend his stretched arm, vanished from Jeta Grove and appeared in that Brahma world. And Deva Tissa saw the Venerable One from afar, coming along, and on seeing him said, "Come, worthy Moggallana, welcome, worthy Moggallana. It's long since you made this round, come here. Pray be seated, good sir, here is the seat ready." And the Venerable Mahamoggallana sat down, and Deva Tissa, after saluting, sat down also at one side. Then said the Venerable Mahamoggallana to Deva Tissa, so seated, To how many devas, Tissa, is there this knowledge? We have won to the stream, are no more for the abyss. In sureness we make for the awakening beyond. And Tissa said, The 4 royal devas, worthy sir, have this knowledge. What? Have they all this knowledge? No, worthy sir, not all. Those 4 royal devas who possess not perfect faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, possess not perfect faith in the virtues beloved by Aryans, they know not that. But those who possess such faith, they know. We have won to the stream, are no more for the abyss. In sureness we make for the awakening beyond. And is it just the 4 royal devas who have this knowledge, or do the devas of the 33, Yamas devas, the devas of Tusita, the devas who delight in creating, and the devas who have power over others' creations also have this knowledge? They also, worthy sir, have this knowledge. What, all of them? No, not those who possess not perfect faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and the virtues. But those who have such faith, they know it. And the Venerable Mahamoggallana approved and commended Brahma Tissa's words, and as a strong man might stretch and bend his arm, he vanished from the Brahma world and appeared at Jeta Grove. That's the end of the sutta. This is one of the interesting suttas which shows how those arahants in those days, they had psychic power, so they could just vanish from earth and appear in the heavens. And come back in the same way. And you can see like this Deva Tissa, because he was a good monk before, that when he was reborn as a Deva, he was very powerful, very mighty. They called him Tissa the powerful, Tissa the mighty. Some monks who practice the holy path well, when they are reborn as devas, they are very mighty and powerful. And here it is stated, those who become Arya are those who have unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and they also have perfect moral conduct. Now, perfect moral conduct is not all the 5 precepts. If you look at the Aryan Eightfold Path, we have 3 factors that comprise the Sila section. It is right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And right speech is abstaining from the 4 kinds of wrong speech, from lying, from malicious tale-bearing, from coarse words, and from idle gossip. And right action is to abstain from killing, from stealing, from committing adultery. And wrong livelihood is right livelihood is that kind of livelihood that does not harm other living beings or oneself. So it does not include the precept against drinking. That is why in one of the suttas in the Sangyutta Nikaya, we find that there was one person, one Sakyan by the name of Sarakani. It seems he took to liquor. He must have drank a considerable amount of liquor, and yet the Buddha said that he was when he died that he was an Arya. So these are the 4 characteristics of Arya: unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and he has perfect virtue. The next sutta is 6.4.36. Monks, these 6 are the roots of contention. What 6? Monks, suppose a monk be angry, scornful, and he being so, he lives without reverence, with respect for the master, for Dhamma, for the Sangha, and he fulfills not the training. And he who lives thus causes contention in the order, and that is to the hurt and sorrow of many folk, to the harm of many folk, to the hurt and ill of devas and men. Monks, if you see this root of contention among you or among others, strive to rid yourselves of this evil thing. And if you see it not, step away to stop its future cankering or arising. Thus is this evil root of contention got rid of, and thus there shall be no more future cankering or arising. Again, monks, suppose a monk be a hypocrite, malicious, or envious, mean, or deceitful, crafty, or evil-minded and wrong in view, or view-bound, tenacious, stubborn. And if he be any of these things, he lives without reverence, respect for the Master, Dhamma and Sangha, nor fulfills he the training. And he who lives thus causes contention in the Sangha, to the hurt and ill of devas and men. Monks, if you see these roots of contention, strive to be rid of these evil things. And if you see them not, step away to stop its future cankering or arising. Thus are these evil roots rid, and thus there shall be no future cankering or arising. Verily, monks, these are the 6 roots of contention. That's the end of the sutta. Here the Buddha is saying that there are certain qualities that if a monk possesses, it leads to contention. These are unwholesome traits or habits. The first one is being angry or scornful. The second one is being a hypocrite or malicious. Third one, envious and mean. And then deceitful and crafty. And then evil-minded and having wrong view. And then view-bound, that means having too much views and being stubborn and tenacious. And it is not easy for people to live together, for example, in a monastery. And there are some people who are unaccommodating, not willing to change their bad habits. Such people cannot live in a monastery with others, because if you allow them to live with others, they will cause contention and fights and quarrels. So such people, if they are not willing to change their habits, not willing to accommodate other people, allow for other people's faults, etc., then it is better that they live alone. Not all people can live under the same roof with others. The next sutta is 6.4.37. Is also quite a good, important sutta. Once when the Exalted One dwelt near Savatthi at Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's park, Nanda's mother, the Velu Kandakan lay disciple, founded an offering 6-fold endowed, for the Sangha of monks with Sariputta and Mahamoggallana at the head. Now the Exalted One with the Deva eye surpassing in clarity the eye of man saw this and addressed the monks thus, Monks, this lay disciple of Velu Kandaka, Nanda's mother, has founded an offering sixfold endowed for the Sangha. And how, monks, is the offering sixfold endowed? Monks, the giver's part is threefold and the receiver's part is threefold. And what is the giver's threefold part? Herein, monks, before the gift he is glad at heart. In giving, the heart is satisfied. And uplifted is the heart when he has given. This is the giver's threefold part. And what is the receiver's threefold part? Herein, monks, they are lust-freed or stepping to cast lust out, are hate-freed or stepping to cast hate out, are delusion-freed or stepping to become so. This is the receiver's threefold part. Thus the giver's part is threefold and the receiver's part is threefold. Thus verily, monks, the offering is sixfold endowed. Monks, not easy is it to grasp the measure of merit of such a sixfold endowed offering, and to say, thus much is the yield in merit, the yield in goodness, making for a lucky hereafter, ripening to happiness, leading heavenward, leading to weal and happiness, longed for, loved and lovely. Verily, this great mass of merit is reckoned just unreckonable, immeasurable. Monks, as it is not easy to grasp the measure of water in the great ocean and to say, there are so many pailfuls, so many hundreds of pailfuls, so many thousands of pailfuls, so many hundreds of thousands of pailfuls. For that great mass of water is reckoned unreckonable, immeasurable. Even so, monks, it is not easy to grasp the measure of merit in a sixfold endowed offering. Verily, the great mass of merit is reckoned unreckonable, immeasurable. That's the end of the sutta. So in this sutta we find one day the Nanda's mother, was making an offering, dana, of food to Venerable Sariputta and Mahamoggallana and the Sangha of monks. And from far away, the Buddha, because of his psychic power, he saw this and he told his monks that this offering that Nanda's mother was making has 6 qualities, and because of these 6 qualities, the merit is immeasurable. First, the giver's partner, the giver, before he gives the offering, he is very happy. He or she is very happy. And while he or she is giving the dana, he or she is very happy. And even after the offering, that person is again very happy. That means he gives with a lot of happiness in giving, without holding back. And then the receiver is either a person who has abandoned or cut off lust, hatred and delusion, or a person walking the path to cut off lust, hatred and delusion. In other words, that person is either an arahant or an arya who is practicing to totally eliminate lust, hatred and delusion. This sometimes these 3 things sometimes is called lust, hatred and delusion. Sometimes lust here would be raga, hatred would be dosa, and delusion would be moha. Sometimes these 3 things are there's a slight variation. Sometimes it is greed, hatred and delusion. Greed is lobha. So here it's mentioned as lust. So if a person gives to an arya, and that person gives with a lot of happiness before the offering, during the offering and after the offering, and then that kind of dana is immeasurable merit, just as the ocean cannot be measured, so too the merit from this offering cannot be measured. Sutta number 6.4.38. Now a certain Brahmin visited the Exalted One
greeted him, and after exchanging the usual polite talk, sat down at one side. So seated, he said to the Exalted One, "This, Master Gotama, is my avowal. This is my view. There is no self-agency, atakaro, no other agency, parakaro." Then the Buddha said, "Never, Brahmin, have I seen or heard of such an avowal, such a view. Pray, how can one step onwards, how can one step back, yet say there is no self-agency, there is no other agency? What think you, Brahmin? Is there such a thing as initiative?" "Yes, sir." "That being so, are men known to initiate?" "Yes, sir." "Well, Brahmin, since there is initiative and men are known to initiate, this is among men the self-agency, this is the other agency. What think you, Brahmin? Is there such a thing as stepping away, stepping forth, halting, standing, and stepping towards anything?" "Yes, sir." "That being so, are men known to do all these things?" "Yes, sir." "Well, Brahmin, since there are such things as stepping away, stepping forth, and the rest, and men are known to do these things, this is among men the self-agency, this is the other agency. Never, Brahmin, have I seen or heard of such an avowal, such a view as yours. Pray, how can one step onward, step back, and say there is no self-agency, there is no other agency?" And the Brahmin said, "This indeed is wonderful, Master Gotama," etc. "And henceforth till life ends, I will go to Master Gotama for help." That's the end of the sutta. So at the end, the Brahmin took refuge with the Buddha. This sutta is quite an interesting one, because here this man is saying there is no atakaro. Atta is the self, karo is the one who does. So here they translate it as no self-agency, no self-agency, no self who does. This is something like saying there is no self. This man is saying there's no such thing as a self. But the Buddha, in our Buddhist teaching, although the Buddha said taught the doctrine of anatta, which is normally translated as no self, actually that should probably be translated as no soul, because soul is supposed to be something that is permanent, unchanging, that exists forever. But in the Buddha's teaching, there is a self, but it is an impermanent self. It is an impermanent self. That is why the Buddha said, there is such a thing as initiative, and men are known to use their initiative, stepping forward and stepping backwards, etc. So the Buddha is saying here that there is such a thing as a self. Probably what he means is it is an impermanent self. So this sutta, in a way, shows that this theory of no self was probably not started by the Buddha. Probably during the Buddha's time there was already such views as there is no self. And so it's just that the Buddha's interpretation is that there is no soul, such a thing, such soul meaning such a thing that is permanent, unchanging, that exists forever and ever. And the next sutta is 6.4.41. Thus have I heard. Once when the Venerable Sariputta dwelt on Mount Vulture Peak near Rajagaha, he robed himself early in the morning and taking bowl and robe descended the hill with many monks in company. Now at a certain spot the Venerable Sariputta saw a large log of wood, and there he addressed the monks and said, "See you, reverence, that large log of wood?" "Yes, sir," they replied. "An adept monk, reverences, one to mind control, can, if he wish, view it as earth. Wherefore, there is, sirs, in that log of wood the earth element, hence an adept can view it as earth. He can, if he wish, view it as water, as fire, as wind, as beautiful, as ugly, Wherefore, there are, reverencers, the elements of all these things in that log of wood. Hence, an adept, one to mind control, can view that log in such ways. That's the end of the sutta. Here, an adept means one who has finished his work, meaning an arahant. The Pali word is idima. Idima is one who has been, you could say, successful, because ed, one meaning of ed is success, another one is psychic powers. So you could say one with psychic power, or one with who has been successful in the spiritual path. But the Venerable Sariputta, even though he has attained all the jhanas, he is known not to have psychic power. So probably he does not refer to psychic power here. He refers to an arahant, one who has been successful in the holy path. So he said, an adept monk, an arahant, can view even a log as earth or water or fire, or that is heat, or wind. These are the four elements in a physical object, and as beautiful or ugly. This shows that a person who has full control of his mind can do these things. And actually that is why the one-pointedness of mind is very important. Samadhi in the Buddha's teachings is one-pointedness of mind. Is the aim of samadhi is to have control over the mind. And so that, as in one of the earlier suttas we read, then a person can view something that is attractive as loathsome, something as loathsome as even attractive. That is all, because all these are perceptions of the mind. Perceptions are due to habit, and perceptions can be changed if we train the mind. Sometimes people say that mindfulness is very important. Mindfulness is important, but by itself it is not sufficient. For example, sometimes a person can know he is mindful, he knows that what he is doing is wrong, and yet he continues to do it. Why? Because he is not in full control of his mind. For example, sometimes a man or a woman may know that to commit adultery is wrong, and yet because passion or lust controls his mind, he is unable to overcome this passion or lust. So the lust or passion controls his mind rather than the mind controlling passion. Hence the importance of samadhi in the Buddha's teachings. Another sutta, 6.5.44. One morning the Venerable Ananda, robing himself early, took bowl and robe and went to the house of the lay disciple Migasala, and there sat down on a seat made ready. And Migasala came and saluted him and sat down at one side. So seated, she said to the Venerable Ananda, "Pray, Reverend Sir, how ought one to understand this Dhamma taught by the Exalted One, that both he who lives the holy life and he who does not shall become like wayfarers in the world to come? My father, Sir, Purana, lived the holy life, dwelling apart, abstaining from common carnal things. And when he died, the Exalted One explained, he is a once returner, dwelling in Tusita heaven. My uncle, Sir, Isiddhartha, did not live the holy life, but rejoiced with a wife. And of him also, when dead, the Exalted One said, he is a once returner, dwelling in Tusita heaven. Reverend Ananda, how ought one to understand this Dhamma?" And Venerable Ananda said, "Even sister, as the Exalted One has said." And when the Venerable Ananda had received alms in Migasala's house, he rose from his seat and departed. Now, stop here for a while just to comment that probably Venerable Ananda could not explain to this Migasala. That's why he said, you just remember it as the Exalted One said, and left. Now the sutta continues. Now on his return from alms gathering after his meal, the Venerable Ananda visited the Exalted One, saluted him and sat down at one side. And so seated, he told the Exalted One all that had occurred, adding, I told her, Lord, to understand the matter even as the Exalted One had explained. And the Buddha said, But Ananda, who is the lay disciple, Migasala, a foolish, frail, motherly body with but mother wit, to understand the diversity in the person of man? These 6 persons, Ananda, are found in the world. What 6? Consider, Ananda, one well-restrained, a comely person, in whose company his fellows in the holy life take pleasure, yet in whom hearing Dhamma is of no effect, much learning is of no effect, in whom there is no view penetration, who wins not partial release. He, on the breaking up of the body after death, sets out to fall, not to excel, fares to a fall, fares not to excellence. Consider another, well-restrained likewise, but in whom hearing Dhamma has effect, much learning has effect, in whom there is view penetration, who wins partial release. He after death sets out to excel, not to fall, fares to excellence, not to a fall. And the measurers measure them, saying, His stature is just this, the others just that. In what way is one wanting, one exalted? And that measuring, Ananda, is to the measurers harm and hurt for many a day. Now the one in whom listening has effect, who wins partial release, that person, Ananda, has marched further forward, is more exalted than the former. And why is that? The stream of Dhamma carries him forward, Ananda. But who save the Tathagata can judge that difference? Wherefore, Ananda, be no measurer of persons. Measure not the measure of persons. Verily, Ananda, he digs a pit for himself who measures the measure of persons. I alone, Ananda, can measure their measure, or one like me. Consider, Ananda, a person in whom wrath and pride are conquered, but in whom greed from time to time surges, in whom hearing Dhamma is of no effect, and another in whom hearing has effect. He after death sets out to excel, not to fall, fares to excellence, not to a fall. That person has marched further forward, is more exalted than the former. I alone, Ananda, can measure their measure. Consider one in whom wrath and pride are conquered, but in whom the whirl of words from time to time surges, in whom hearing Dhamma and learning are of no effect, in whom there is no view penetration, who wins not partial release. He after death sets out to fall, not to excel, fares to a fall, fares not to excellence. And another likewise, but in whom hearing Dhamma and learning have effect, in whom there is view penetration, who wins partial release. He after death sets out to excel, not to fall, fares to excellence, not to a fall. And the measurers measure them likewise, and it is to their harm and hurt for many a day. And in whom hearing Dhamma and learning have effect, that one has marched further forward, is more exalted than the former. And why? The Dhamma stream carries him forward. But who save the Tathagata can judge this difference? Wherefore, Ananda, be no measurer of persons. Measure not the measure of persons. Verily, Ananda, he digs a pit for himself who measures the measure of persons. I alone, Ananda, can measure their measure, or one like me. And who is the lay disciple, Migasala, a foolish, frail, motherly body, with but mother wit, to understand the diversity in the person of man? Verily, Ananda, these 6 persons are found in the world. Ananda, with such virtue as Purana was endowed, Isiddhatha may become endowed. Herein, Purana fares not Isiddhatha's way, but another's. With such insight as Isiddhatha was endowed, Purana may become endowed. Herein Isiddhatha fares not Purana's way, but another's. Thus verily, Ananda, both these men are wanting in one thing. That's the end of the sutta. Here this lady, Migasala, she was a bit perplexed because the father and the uncle both when they died, the Buddha said that they were both once returners. That means a Sakadagamin, second stage fruition person. But one of them was a lay person, the other one was a monk. So this Migasala couldn't understand why one is a lay person, one is a monk, but yet both of them obtained the same fruit of the holy life. So the Buddha explained the 6 types of persons found in the world. And the Buddha said not to measure another person. The Buddha said, be no measurer of persons, measure not the measure of persons. Verily Ananda, he digs a pit for himself who measures the measure of persons. So here the Buddha is giving a warning that it is dangerous to judge other people, especially a person who wears the robe. It's very difficult for lay people to judge. So we have to remember to be very careful when we criticize some monks, because sometimes you might think a monk has wrong view when he may have right view. Especially if a monk practices, keeps the precepts and meditates, you have to be very, very careful not to criticize such a monk or develop hatred for such a monk. In the end, the Buddha said that Purana was, although both of them, Purana and Isiddhata, were once returners, but Purana excelled in virtue, whereas Isiddhata excelled in insight. So both of them, they had slightly different qualities, but both of them are Sakadagamins.